Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead. Okay?
Venezuelans' votes. I want to ask you, why not have the Coast Guard stop them, which it is empowered by law to do? You know, this way you can confirm who's on the boat and ensure that they're doing what you suspect.
Because we've been doing that for 30 years, and it has been totally ineffective. They have faster boats. Some of these boats are seriously, I mean, they're world-class speedboats, but they're not faster than missiles.
No, it's not. And Senator Graham could not be more wrong, and it's beneath him to say what he just said. He knows, as well as I do, that there is no legal authorization for these strikes. There isn't. There is a purported memo inside the White House articulating the legal basis for these strikes, which has not been shared with the Congress. Now, I wonder why it hasn't been shared with the Congress, because I bet if it exists, that it's nonsense. And look, if Lindsey Graham and other Republicans want to go the route of saying it's okay to kill people illegally, just so long as the American public supports it, the American public needs to really think that through. You know, there will be a Democratic president someday, and all my MAGA friends who are, cheering on these illegal killings need to imagine who gets killed when President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that it doesn't matter what the law says. She's going to do what she's going to do. So look, I work here, so I understand the complete abnegation of principle and a complete thumbing of the nose at the rule of law, but I would hope that people like Lindsey Graham might not go that path, because it's a very, very dangerous path for this country to go down.
Well, I mean, the question is, bottom line, these are drug boats. If people want to stop seeing drug boats blow up, stop sending drugs to the United States.
But does it matter if it's in the United States?
Well, these are all in international waters. The boat.
Do a strike in the United States or?
Well, that's a different matter. You're talking about a law enforcement matter. In this particular case, there are people traveling on international waters headed towards the United States with hostilities in mind, which includes flooding our country with dangerous, deadly drugs. And they're going to be stopped. And that's what's happening. And in the case last week, you saw it was a submarine. It was a submarine. It was a submersible. That's a drug boat all the way through. We know what these boats are. The president just said it. We tracked them from the very beginning. We know who's on them, who they are, where they're coming from, what they have on them. If you're running drug boats, you're in grave danger.
What is Elisa Slotkin saying?
She's not saying anything. That is pure stupidity because she got caught. That's what happened here, Maria. I don't remember her saying anything when Barack Obama was droning Americans overseas. There were American citizens who got caught up in drone strikes when Obama was droning over in the Middle East. He called himself the droner in chief. I don't remember her saying anything about this. This is why this is so dumb. They're trying to demonstrate that they are a bunch of tough guys, that they're standing up to President Trump. And every time they do one of these stunts, it makes them look even stupider. That's why the government was shut down for 40 days. Not over spending, not over some key policy item on Capitol Hill. It was a political stunt for Chuck Schumer to prove that he was a tough guy to stand up to Donald Trump. While the American people are rightly concerned about affordability, and a concern, by the way, brought to us by Democrat leadership under Joe Biden, Democrat votes from Melissa Slotkin and all those other people that are in those stupid videos talking about illegal orders, while the American people are thinking about affordability, the Democrats are only concerned with political stunts.
Well, I mean,
so it's important that the American people understand this.
Stunts have been going on a decade. I mean, we have gone through exhaustively the Russia collusion hoax, the impeachment, the Mar-a-Lago raid, the Hunter Biden laptop, 2 impeachments, 90-plus indictments.
Is every lawmaker you played started their thought by saying, if this is true. And the fact of the matter is there is a lot in dispute tonight. We don't know the answers to everything. And Batya raised an important point that there is a difference between disabling a boat and destroying it if it was only disabled under the laws of war. Actually, they would have potentially been able to make that a military target. But I think a couple important points to make here more generally is, it's interesting to hear the media talking about this breathlessly for hours and hours when, Biden or Obama drone striked. The only thing that needed to happen was John Kirby would go on TV and say, oh, we made a mistake. We're learning from it. And nobody batted an eye. And yet now this has become the biggest,
It's
story, though.
Not true that no one batted an eye at Obama's.
Today I authorized 2 operations in Iraq. Targeted airstrikes to protect our American personnel. Last night, on my orders, America's armed forces began strikes against ISIL targets in Syria. Today, at my direction, the United States launched a targeted operation against that compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Today, I authorized the armed forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya. Because a nuclear Iran is a threat to our national security. They can take the diplomatic route, or they will have to face a United States president, me, who said we're not going to take any options off the table.
He is in the National Command Authority for Nuclear Weapons. And last night, he's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this?
You ever wonder if you had a picture of hypocrisy, what it would look like? Why is it's okay for Democrat presidents to do the exact same thing that Trump's doing today, but it isn't okay for Trump to do it? And then in the latest scenario, it appeared that 2 of the drug smugglers terrorist drug smugglers, survived, and then were trying to right the boat, and they were taken out as well. And a report came out blaming Pete Hestef, saying that he gave the order to kill them. They're calling him a war criminal, for crying out loud. Members of our Congress are calling the Secretary of War, Pete Hestef, a war criminal. Here's what a picture of hypocrisy looks like, if you're ever wondering. Yep. They're calling Pete a war criminal. This is them under the Biden administration when they went into a bomb-making facility and we were selling these weapons to Ukraine to hit Russia with, and that's all fine and dandy, but here's Democrats signing their name to the bombs. Yeah, that's hypocrisy. More on that in a moment. You had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Whether you're watching us tonight on our YouTube channel, our Rumble channel, our X channel, please like, subscribe, share the videos, share the channel with your family and friends. Also, DouglasDucote.com. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Many other platforms. Also, my book, Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, is out. Hope that you will pick one up at Walmart or Barnes & Noble. Amazon has it, although Amazon's having a few issues right now. But if you just put in the title in your Google search, you'll see all kinds of places you can buy it online. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit, shall we? Here we go. Despite the lying sack of shits in the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C. and the liberal media telling you so, Secretary of War Pete Hestef did not issue kill them all order during the Venezuela strikes. Admiral testifies in front of Congress and tells them. Navy Admiral Mitch Bradley confirmed to lawmakers that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth did not order all survivors or counter-terrorist cartel members to be killed, even as they had mixed emotions on whether the so-called double tap strike was justified. An initial Washington Post report claimed that Pete Hegseth ordered those in charge of the counter-narcotics strike to kill them all, leading Bradley to interpret this as an order to kill remaining survivors. Then the DC Democrats and their liberal media suckasses took to the airways to call Pete Hegseth a war criminal, among other things, with absolutely no merit behind them. The admiral confirmed that there had not been a kill them all order, and that there was not an order to not grant them quarter, meaning rescue them. Representative Jim Himes, Democrat, Connecticut, top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, came out of that briefing and told reporters that the Admiral Bradley was very clear that he was given no such order, not to give no quarter or to kill them all. Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Tom Cotton, Republican, Arkansas, said, still, Himes said the full video of the September 2nd strike shows that the two survivors were shipwrecked sailors. What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've ever seen in my time in public service. You have two individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States, Himes said. Now, there's a whole set of contextual items that the Admiral explained. Yes, they were carrying drugs. They were not in a position to continue their mission in any way. Democrats and Republicans seem to have strikingly different impressions of the video they've been shown over the strikes. Senator Cotton said videos of the strike showed the survivors trying to flip the boat back over and continue their mission. Democrat Senator Chris Coons, ranking member of the Defense Appropriates Subcommittee, said, I think it'd be hard to watch the series of videos and not be troubled by it. Sir, I watched the videos. As a 4-time combat veteran and one who has seen the very worst of humanity, I was not troubled by seeing two terrorists that were headed to America hell-bent on delivering massive amounts of drugs to kill Americans. Your priority should be with the American people that you represent, not illegal cartel terrorists. But we all know by now what the Democrats in D.C. stand for on this matter, don't we? Then Democrat Senator Jack Reed, Republican, Rhode Island, also on the Armed Service Committee said, I'm sorry, not Republican, Democrat. How did I get that wrong? Also on the Armed Service Committee said, I'm deeply disturbed by what I saw this morning. The Department of Defense has no choice but to release the complete unedited footage of the September 2nd strike. Sir, with all due respect, which you and your colleagues frankly don't deserve, please do explain how far back in the video you would like to see. The drone taking off? The flight over there to kill the terrorist? I don't know. You watched both strikes. Republican Rick Crawford of Arkansas, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, appeared to take aim at the Democrats for claiming they were troubled by the video. Those who appear troubled by videos of military strikes on designated terrorists have clearly never seen the Obama-ordered strikes or for that matter, those of any other administration over recent decades. I am deeply concerned by the public sentiment made by others that seek to ignore the realities of targeting terrorists to score political points. I call upon them to remember their own silence as our forces conducted identical strikes for years, killing terrorists and destroying military objectives in the same as this strike. 8 years under Obama, as a matter of fact. And ask themselves why they would seek to attack our forces today. There's another example where survivors actually were shipwrecked and distressed and not trying to continue their mission, and they were treated as they should be, as non-combatants. They were picked up by U.S. forces, Senator Cotton said. It's just an example of how, of course, our military always obeys laws of war. Our military also acts with an appropriate lawful authority to target these narco-terrorists. An October 16th strike that killed two survivors were captured and sent back to Colombia and Mexico by our U.S. military. In a series of 4 strikes on October 27th that killed 14, one survivor was left for retrieval by the Mexican Coast Guard. Cotton said the protocol for handling survivors remains the same since the strikes began in early September as it was under Biden-Harris and under Obama-Biden. After reporting that a September 2nd strike of alleged narco-terrorists had left 2 survivors who were killed in a follow-up strike, lawmakers and legal analysts expressed concern that top military brass had violated the Pentagon's Law of War manual, which deems attacking persons rendered helpless due to wounds, sickness, or shipwreck is prohibited, described as dishonorable and inhumane. Shipwrecked individuals are protected unless they resume hostility action or otherwise regain the capability to pose an immediate threat. But the Pentagon officials said that the survivors may have been in a position to call for backup and that Bradley viewed that as a threat. Heckfest said he viewed the initial strike in real time, but was not present to view the second strike. He said he had no involvement in the decision to call for a second strike, but stands by Admiral Bradley's decision. Bradley is now locked in a whirlwind day of meetings on Capitol Hill to explain his decision. He gives separate briefings to the top lawmakers on the House and Senate Committee, House and Senate Arms Services Committee, and top members on the Defense Appropriations Subcommittees. The leadership of the Democrat Party in D.C. and their Democrat colleagues, House and Senate, prioritize illegal aliens, drug traffickers, sex traffickers of women and children, cartel members, gang members, and terrorists over American citizens. That's a fact that we, the people, have seen clearly for the past several years. This is why you idiots lost the White House, both the House and Senate, the popular vote, the Electoral College, and even the swing states. So tell us, how is stuck on stupid working out for your party? Midterms can't get here fast enough, my friends. So we can put a stopgap to the Democrat Party from ever being in control of anything ever again. Speaking of bombs on terrorists, great coffee tonight. Thank you to my beautiful wife, Marilyn. Let's take a dive back a little bit to last year, the campaign. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro unleashed on former Vice President Kamala Harris during an interview that was published yesterday, claiming that what the Democrat nominee for president wrote about him in her book, quote, was utter bullshit. During an interview with The Atlantic, Tim Albert Shapiro denied that Harris alleged in her book, 107 Days, which included discussions of Shapiro and others she vetted for her running mate. Harris said Shapiro had asked her staff lots of questions, including how he might arrange to get Pennsylvania artists work on loan from the Smithsonian. She also accused him of wanting to be involved in every decision and said she reprimanded him. A vice president is not a co-president. She wrote that in her book. That's complete and utter bullshit, Sharple said in response to the description of him in her book. I can tell you that her accounts are just blatant lies. I did ask a bunch of questions. Wouldn't you ask questions if someone is talking to you about forming a partnership of working together? Said he found that both Shapiro's staff and Harris described the meeting similarly. He asked Shapiro if he felt betrayed by Harris. I mean, she's trying to sell books and cover her ass, he said, before backtracking. I should say cover her ass. I think that's appropriate. She's trying to sell books, period. Harris also had reservations about former Transportation Secretary, who I like to call Pete Buttlicker, the former Transportation Secretary, which she details in her book. If you didn't know, he's gay. Would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man, Harris wrote in her book. But we already asked a lot of America to accept a woman, a black woman married to a Jewish man. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what's at stake, it was too big of a risk. And the American people saw right through your lies. And we watched you for 4 years as our vice president. And nobody can name anything you accomplished. Former vice president ultimately tapped Minnesota Governor Tim Military Stolen Valor Waltz, aka Tampon Tim, who wound up attracting negative headlines for his campaign over past misleading statements about his military record. During a September interview, Shapiro had argued that the former vice president needed to answer for why she didn't raise any concerns about former President Joe Biden's health while in office. Shapiro said he was extremely vocal about Biden's fitness to run again and argued that Biden's staff failed to fully brief him on his dwindling chances of victory. I can tell you that I tried to speak to them candidly about it and to do so in a constructive manner. I believe in talking directly to the individuals, not running around and talking to the media, Shapiro said. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but I think in that moment, you've got to be direct, and I was. Not that him being on the ticket or Buttlicker on the ticket would have helped her. Nothing would have helped her. I mean, nothing. There was no way on this earth that she was going to be elected president of the United States. It just wasn't happening. If you took all the reasons out while the American people turned against her, and there are hundreds of them, if you took all those out and just left one simple little thing that really isn't a policy at all. It's the annoyance of listening to a laughing hyena every day for 4 years. Our brains couldn't have taken that. And then you add the real shit, which is that she was clueless about everything, and a liar, pathological liar, I might add. And we end up with the results we ended up with. And even if Joe Biden had decided to run, the American people have seen all they wanted to see for 4 years of what the Democrats were doing to this country. That's how we got where we're at now. Okay. Dear DC Democrats in Congress, I fully expect you to come out with a statement condemning President Trump for his latest pardon. After all, you've done so for every pardon so far, but I'm not going to hold my breath because he's a Democrat. That's right, folks. Trump just pardoned a Democrat. President Donald Trump announced a full and unconditional pardon yesterday of Democrat Congressman Henry Kohler of Texas and his wife, Amelia. For years, the Biden administration weaponized the justice system against their political opponents. Trump should know. And anyone who disagreed with them. One of the clearest examples of this was the Crooked Joe used the FBI and Department of Justice to take out a member of his own party after a highly respected Congressman Henry Kohler bravely spoke out against open borders. In the Biden border catastrophe, Joe Biden went after the congressman and even the congressman's wife for simply speaking the truth. It is un-American, and the radical left Democrats are a complete and total threat to our democracy. They will attack, rob, lie, cheat, destroy, and disseminate anyone who dares to oppose their far-left agenda. An agenda that, if left unchecked, will obliterate our magnificent country. Trump said, I am hereby announcing my full and unconditional pardon of beloved Texas Congressman Kohler and his wife, Amelia. Henry, I don't know you, but you can sleep well tonight. Your nightmare is finally over. In January of 2024, that congressman, that Democrat congressman, warned fellow Democrats, including Biden himself, to prepare for border security to be the top election issue in the 2024 cycle. If they're looking at the same polls I've been looking at, the American people, the public, doesn't like what they're seeing, the congressman said to fellow Democrats. In every interview he went on, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC. I represent an area where it's almost 80% Hispanic and most of them are Democrats, he said. So yeah, the polls are showing that it's an important issue. Speaking of Biden, he said, it's the president's best interest politically to come up with a solution on border security. The Department of Justice under the Biden administration then indicted him and his wife in May of 2024 for all of a sudden taking roughly $600,000 in bribes from an energy company and a Mexican bank down in Central and South America. According to the news release at the time, the bribe payments were allegedly laundered through sham consultant contracts through a series of front companies and middlemen into shell companies owned by supposedly the congressman's wife. who performed little to no legitimate work under the contracts, Biden's Department of Justice said. In exchange for the bribes paid by the oil and gas company, the congressman allegedly agreed to use his office to influence U.S. foreign policy in exchange for the bribes made by the Mexican bank. Congressman Collers allegedly agreed to influence legislative activity and to advise and pressure high-ranking U.S. executive branch officials regarding measures beneficial to the bank. The congressman said following the pardon on Wednesday that I want to thank President Trump for his tremendous leadership and for taking the time to look at the facts in my case. I thank God for standing with my family and I during this difficult time. The decision clears the air and lets us move forward for South Texas, he added. This pardon gives us a clean slate. The noose is gone. The work remains, and I intend to meet it head on. Thank you, Mr. President. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. In Trump's post yesterday, he shared a letter of him, apparently written by the congressman's daughter, titled Request for Compassion and Clemency for Our Parents. Our parents are good, decent people who have spent their lives giving more than they have taken. They have loved this country deeply, served their neighbors without hesitation, and raised us to believe that kindness, faith, and hard work are the true measures of a meaningful life. Now, in that later years of their lives, all we want as their daughters is time to be with them, to share laughter and family dinners, and to see them live without the weight of worry. We hope they can one day retire peacefully and focus on family, faith, and simply joys that have earned through the lifetime of service. All we want now is for our family to heal, to breathe freely again, and to see our parents' good names restored. With all our hearts, we humbly ask that you show mercy and compassion to our parents, either by dismissing the case or granting a full and unconditional pardon, the letter said. We speak not only as their children, but also as Americans who believe in the goodness of this country and your ability to see the human side of every story. So Trump got that letter. He didn't know who this congressman was, just like most of you didn't. Another member of the Democrat Party. He turned it over to the Department of Justice and the FBI and said, look into this. What really happened here? And they got back to Trump and said, looks pretty clear to us because of his outspokenness against Biden on the border. They come up with this bullshit claim that they have no evidence of. Regardless, do you expect a single Democrat member of our Congress in the House or the Senate to step to a microphone and thank Donald Trump for pardoning one of their colleagues? Well, if you think that's going to happen, I've got some land that doesn't flood I'll sell you in Lake Charles, Louisiana. A third Afghan national from the Biden-era program has been arrested in a week by ICE agents in the American streets of Virginia. Yep. ICE agents arrested this guy, Jan, J-A-A, I don't even know how to fucking pronounce these Muslim names. John, Jan, Shafi. That piece of shit right there. Following the arrest of two other terrorists. Good job, ICE. Bad job, Joe Biden. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, arrested Afghan national and alleged ISIS-K supporter brought into the country under former President Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome in Waynesburg, Virginia. He was arrested as President Trump and his administration confront a surge of terrorist cases tied to Afghanistan arrivals that occurred under the Biden administration. Department of Homeland Security said Wednesday that this guy arrived, this terrorist, arrived September 8th of 2021 in Philadelphia. He applied for temporary protection status, TPS, though his application was terminated when Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ended the TPS for Afghanistan. Today, our historic ICE officers arrested him, a terrorist who provided material support to ISIS-K, Noem said in her news release. The Biden administration brought this terrorist into the U.S. under the disastrous Operation Allies Welcome program. The terrorist was arrested miles from the nation's capital, where our brave National Guard heroes, Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf, were shot just days ago by another unvetted Afghan terrorist brought into this country. The Biden administration created one of the worst national security crises in American history. Biden let into this country approximately 190,000 unvetted Afghan, supposedly allies, only determining who they were and their intentions when they were already on American soil, she continued. President Trump has been working every day since January 20th to clean up this unimaginable national security crisis. Department of Homeland Security accused the Biden administration of relying on unvetted referrals to admit nearly 190,000 Afghan nationals into the U.S. Trump administration put a stop to the Afghan refugee resettlement after Trump returned to the Oval Office in January because he saw the program as a massive threat to national security, which it was. The arrest marks the third of an Afghan national who was released into the country under Biden in less than a week, according to the Department of Homeland Security. That piece of shit right there was released into U.S. custody under Operation Allies Welcome, led into our country under Allies Welcome, under Biden, and he committed the terrorist attack that killed the 2 National Guard members. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. It's very fucking nice of you to do some kind of stupid shit like that. Just days before the attack, Mohammed Dawood Alaksi was arrested by local officials by FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force for allegedly making bomb threats in Fort Worth, Texas. He posted a video of himself on TikTok indicating he was building a bomb, and his intended target was Fort Worth area. He was also released into the U.S. under the Biden Operation Allies Welcome. He's now been charged with making terrorist threats. Out of that 190,000, we are trying our damnedest to find them and bring them to justice before any more Americans get killed. And sadly, more Americans are going to be killed because of Biden and Harris and their total incompetence. Department of Homeland Security has confirmed an Oregon man who's been protesting ICE for months after a new video surfaced of him verbally describing to one officer that his wife would receive his head on a pike through the mail. John Paul Cupp, C-U-P-P, 45, is the poster child for the 8,000-fold increase in threats against federal law enforcement. Top Department of Homeland Security officials said in a statement, Cupp is charged with making threats against federal law enforcement officers after he allegedly threatened to kill ICE agents and then sexually assault their wives. Video was shared on the suspect's Instagram account and was labeled "Daddy Wally's Come Get Bin Laden Challenge," which featured Cup swearing repeatedly and loudly self-identifying to responding ICE agents as the deceased al-Qaeda terrorist. "I'm over here advocating your death and the violent overthrow of the government, and you want to attack some females and some children? Come get bin Laden," he said in the video before going on to loudly describe to a male federal agent how his wife would receive the decapitated head through the mail and then continue with several graphic sexual threats. As he loudly taunted the agent, saying that if they came over and got bin Laden, their streets would burn down, and appeared to refer to President Trump as a Zionist overlord before appearing to tell fellow protesters to condone your illegal activities of ICE. In a statement, DHS Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said Tuesday that Cup is now facing federal charges for his threats. Our ICE officers face an 8,000% increase in death threats against them while they risk their lives every single day to remove the worst of the worst from our streets, including murderers, rapists, pedophiles, terrorists, and gang members. From bounties placed on their heads for their murders, threats to their families, stalking and doxing them online, our officers are experiencing an unprecedented level of violence and threats against them and their families, which is why the ICE officers are covering their faces. Secretary Noem made it clear, if you threaten to lay hands on law enforcement, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Cup has also been associated with pro-North Korean groups inside the U.S., with NBC News report connecting him to Kim Jong-un's personal cult, where admirers in the U.S. like him and his protesting. Well, I'm glad they got this piece of shit off the street. What is it with these guys? Thinking that that they can get away with this by posting on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. That's some serious stupid shit right there. The suspect who planted bombs blocks from the U.S. Capitol on January 5th, 2021 has finally been identified. He's a black man by the name of Brian Cole Jr. of Woodbridge, Virginia. According to two sources briefed on the arrest, they say Cole, 30, is in FBI custody tonight. Roughly 5 years of investigation. He is charged with using an explosive device, according to Pam Bondi's announcement tonight. The FBI arrested Cole in Northern Virginia. He will make his first court appearance tomorrow in Washington, D.C. Bondi said the investigation into the attempted bombing languished for 4 years under former President Biden's administration. The FBI, along with the U.S. Attorney Pereiro and all of our prosecutors, have worked tirelessly for months, shifting through evidence that has been sitting at the FBI with the Biden administration for 4 damn years and nothing being done about it. All they wanted to do was take American citizens that were only charged with a misdemeanor crime of trespassing and lock them up in a fucking prison, as we saw. There were no witnesses to this bomb laying, just good, diligent police work and prosecutor work of what they already had sitting in the FBI's offices. FBI Director Kash Patel credited the U.S. Capitol Police, the Metro Police Department, and U.S. Attorney for D.C. for their work on the investigation. Authorities discovered the 2 pipe bombs that were set near where thousands of protesters just a few blocks away were at the Capitol over the 2020 election results the following day, which was January 6th. Thankfully, neither bomb detonated. Authorities say both were viable, dangerous, and capable of killing people. Video footage released by the FBI, we have all seen, showing the suspect placing the bombs near the buildings more than 16 hours before law enforcement, thankfully, found them. You all will remember that's all we were showed. And the bombs. And obviously, he left something behind that was right there in the fucking documents that the FBI under the Biden administration didn't do shit with. Can you tell who that is? His face is covered, got a hoodie on, gloves, long sleeves, pants. You can't make out nothing from that picture. Nothing. So I hope that the FBI and the Department of Justice will share with us exactly how they got this guy. How is it that you took the exact same thing that's been sitting right there at the FBI for 4 years, nothing being done about it, while you're taking grandmas and grandpas whose only crime was trespassing on Capitol grounds, locking them up in prison, and this son of a bitch was setting bombs to go off and kill people. Ask yourself, what's the evidence there? Let us know just how incompetent the Biden-Harris FBI was. Because as a former law enforcement officer myself, I look at that picture and I go, good luck. Now, the other things I'm looking for fingerprints. I'm looking for things that might have been left behind, something that may have been dropped from a pocket. I mean, there are many, many things. Looking at all the surveillance video cameras of his entire walk, which we all saw. Did he possibly drop something? Is there some way, shape, or form? Obviously, there was. That he made a mistake and left behind that ID'd him. And the Biden FBI didn't do anything about it. I and you should demand to know, what was that evidence? And then the people that were in charge of that investigation, whether they're still at the FBI or they've retired from the FBI or they're a former FBI agent, need to be held accountable. Because that is not acceptable. My friends, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Again, whether you're watching us tonight on the Rumble channel, the YouTube channel, the X channel, please like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Also, check out DouglasDucote.com. Also, put in your Google search engine, Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, which is my new book that is out now, available for sale. I hope that you will buy it. It's a great gift with the holidays coming up, especially for any of your family members or friends that served in the United States military. They will be able to relate. It's about the funny things that I experienced in my military service and during combat deployments, instead of sharing what's already out there. Thousands of veterans before me have all wrote about the horrors of war. I could have done that too. What good would it do? What good would my story about the horrors of war do? Number one, it's not going to change anything. It's going to make people who don't like the military already just look at us as killers, professional government killers. But I wanted to share the funny things that I experienced, the funny things that I did, the things that sixth sense of humor that we had to have to survive what we were going through. If by reading books that are out there from veterans and movies, if you don't know what war is about by now, you're never going to know. But I think I've given an insight with this book of something that nobody's ever done before. And that is that we're human just like everybody else is. And we have to use humor to survive the shit that we go through and the things that we experience. I've been sharing these stories with family and friends for years. And some of them have said, dude, you should put this down in writing. And when I decided to write about my military service, I thought, why not show you a side of us that most people don't know about or don't get to see? The funny side, the humorous side, the banter back and forth, the things that we do, our coping mechanism is humor. So even if you're not a veteran, you read this, I hope you laugh. That was my intention. Not to share the horrors of war, but to share the humor that happens throughout military service. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. If something of major importance happens between now and next Tuesday, I will do a video about it, or I will come on and do a live program about it. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, a wonderful and blessed weekend. And please remember to always watch your six, because thanks to Biden and Harris, we have thousands of people in this country that still want to kill us. And we need to hope and pray that they get caught and brought to justice. Thank you, my friends. God bless you. And I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Good night. Hello, everyone. Douglas Ducote here. My new book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, is available now at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes. Please check it out. I had the opportunity to either write about my 4 combat tours and the horrors of war like everyone else does, or I chose to write about the humorous side of military service. So there are stories about things that I experienced in Operation Desert Storm and Operation Just Cause down in Panama, and everything in between. The funny things that I went through and I lived through. The things that require basically a sixth sense of humor to get by. So this is a great gift for anyone that you know that's served in the United States military, as well as those that just like to read things that are funny. My whole purpose was to make you laugh. And if this book, From Baton Rouge to Baghdad and Back, makes you laugh, then it was worth my time and effort in writing it. So please check it out. You can buy the book starting today at Walmart, Amazon, Google, iTunes, and Barnes & Noble. Thank you, and God bless.